Welcome to the coolest stuff on the planet.
Greetings and salutations, internet world. This is a podcast. That's pretty cool, right? Oh, by the way, special note, Jerry, the Uber producer, is producing us today, rather than Tyler. And she's pushing our game up, so get prepared for this.
Also, if you notice us sounding more nervous than usual, that's why.
If I'm swallowed in the middle of words, then that's probably why.
Oh, so let's podcast, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Woo! So today's topic takes me back to my childhood, Matt.
Oh, really?
Yes. So when I was growing up, we took family vacations like families do.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, my parents were way into state parks and caves.
Really?
And it didn't really vary too much from that. State parks and caves.
Okay.
So we ended up visiting a lot of caves in southern Indiana and Kentucky. And so I have been to many caves.
Nice. You're a cave dweller.
I am, yeah. I'm an
Visitor.
expert. Today's topic was specially requested by a listener, Tyler. This one takes us to New Mexico. If you're cool with it, Matt, I think we should do some caving today.
I'm down. Let's go. So we're going to the Carlsbad Cavern. The Carlsbad Cavern is located in the southeastern part of New Mexico, near the town of Carlsbad, obviously. The underground system stretches beneath the Guadalupe Mountains and the Chihuahua Desert.
So this cavern is part of a national park called Carlsbad Caverns National Park, and it's the most famous cave system within the park. Although there are actually more than 100 caves throughout the whole park.
That is a whole lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. But Carlsbad is the big one, and it's really famous for both the size of its chambers and for the amazing variety of cave formations that you'll find, which we'll talk about.
Nice. So, Rachel, another fascinating thing about the Carlsbad Cavern is its history. It was formed by a ton of sulfuric acid that dissolved limestone deposits, and it basically made these. It bore out these massive chambers that we're looking at right here, and it was actually discovered by a cowboy and miner named Jim White, or it was. He's credited with its discovery. Apparently, Native Americans knew about it and explored it a bit, but
he was the first settler explorer.
Yes.
So, and he actually, in fact, later did a lot of exploration of the cavern and stuff. So he is a big part of its history. But here's an interesting piece of trivia about the caverns. Early on in their history, they were used for mining. And so what kind of mining, you might ask? You know, some sort of rock, perhaps.
Limestone, right?
No. Guano mining.
Guano.
And if you're not familiar with guano, that would be bat droppings. But apparently the guano was shipped to California and used as fertilizer, which is an interesting story in itself.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so the earliest visitors to the park, the non-mining visitors, would have to be, because there was no entrance.
Oh,
so
wow.
they had to be lowered down into the caves in guano buckets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's pretty crazy, huh?
That's gross.
Yeah.
Well, I can't even hear that word without thinking about Ace Ventura, and I don't know if anybody else out there is experiencing that. No, you don't have that reference in your head, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, Pet Detective 2?
It's been so long since I've seen that.
Oh.
I'm so old. My brain,
the white bat?
memory is not so good.
Oh, man. Well, rewatch it because I think it stands up. No, it probably doesn't. But I love that movie.
I will watch it.
Okay, so speaking of guano, let's talk about bats. So the Carlsbad Cavern, it's popular for, a very specific kind of bat called the Mexican free-tailed bat. And every spring until autumn, so from spring until autumn, these bats hang out in the cavern. And every evening they fly out in droves to hunt insects throughout the night. And they do this until dawn. So all night they're just hunting and flying around.
And there's so many of them. There are like hundreds of thousands of these bats hunting at the same time that one of the park programs is called the Bat Flight Program.
Yes.
And so you can go and watch the bats fly.
Do you know, Rachel, there's also a bat amphitheater.
Yeah, I like that.
So inside the park, you can go to this amphitheater, and visitors can watch the bats. They just watch them take off and hunt every night. So you can watch the bats return also before dawn. So I'm assuming you can go there all throughout the night and just watch the bats.
I think so, yeah. Because, both times. Mm-hmm. But okay, so let's talk about, I mentioned before that the cavern is really famous for its cave formations.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
So the technical term for these deposits is speleothems.
Nice.
And they're basically created by water drips down through the rock, through cracks in the rock. It collects minerals along the way, and then the mineral kind of gets deposited in a solid form on the surfaces below in the cavern. And so they build up, and then you have these formations.
Mm-hmm. You probably remember the terms stalactite and stalagmite from, I don't know, your middle school science class? Remember? You remember what they mean?
Elementary school.
Elementary school, perhaps? Yeah. You remember what they mean? Rachel does.
I do. Yes. Since because of my history in caves, from all those family vacations, I remember one time I was on a cave tour, and a tour guide explained it to us in a way that I've never ever forgotten. Like every time I'm trying to figure out the difference, I go, okay, wait a minute.
I think I was taught this as well.
So this is what she said. She said, a stalactite hangs tight to the ceiling, and a stalagmite you just might trip over.
Yeah, there you go.
And so every time I'm like, oh, right, mite tight, got it.
I think I also learned that in a cave when I was young. That's
They
awesome.
must have it like in the training manual or something. Explain it this way. Although I've seen other explanations too, so that's not the only one.
Well, so as Rachel said, stalactites grow downward from the ceiling, and they hold tight, and stalagmites grow upward from the floor, and again, you might trip over them. So, also when they meet in the middle, so if two of them come together and meet in the middle, it's called a column. And also if a stalactite reaches the floor all the way from the ceiling, it's also called a column.
Yeah, that was a new fact for me. I don't remember that from the tour. It's been a while though, so.
Yeah.
So the cavern is full of these interesting cave deposits of all different kinds. It's also full of different chambers. So these deposits and these chambers have all sorts of these fanciful names. Like you have the Rock of Ages, the Christmas Tree, the Boneyard. Some of the chambers are the Hall of Giants, King's Palace, Queen's Chamber.
And there are many, many, many more.
Yeah.
The most famous attraction in the cavern, or the cavern system, is called the Big Room. And it's the biggest underground chamber in the Western Hemisphere.
It's a clever name.
How cool.
Big Room.
The Big Room. How big are we talking? It covers 8.2 acres, which can comfortably fit more than 6 football fields.
That's big.
Yeah, it's massive.
So there are a couple ways you can navigate this cave system, the cavern. You can take guided tours. You can take self-guided tours. And they're all of varying levels of difficulty. So some of them are just, a walk through the cavern. There are rails. Ooh, this is pretty neat.
Yeah.
Stalagmite. And then you have the more difficult ones, which are you actually have to get through the narrow passages, and it's more spelunking type kind of stuff.
It's very Descent-esque.
Yes, it's terribly scary. I would never do that one. But and here's a neat fact, which I thought was cool. There's even an underground sort of visitor center. Like there's a lunchroom, there are restrooms, there's a snack bar.
Really?
It's crazy, yeah. All underground, just like that.
Nice. Well, as we have learned, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, there's a ton to see at Carlsbad Cavern. And you can see it below ground. You can see it above ground. Hey, we would recommend checking it out, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Brilliant. Well, and if you want to learn more about this national park, or let's say caves in general, or maybe other national parks, go to howstuffworks.com and use that awesome little search bar there. You will not be disappointed.
And speaking of not being disappointed, we should inform you that we are on social media now, even more so than we have been before. So you can check us out at, what is it, Matt? Where is that place that you can go?
It's called the Facebook, I think.
Ye old Facebook?
Yes. It's facebook.com/coolest stuff. And you can also check us out on Twitter. I think that's how you say that, Twitter?
Something like that, yeah.
I'm not really sure, but
we're not so up on the social media lingo.
Yeah.
But
it's twitter.com/coolest stuff HSW.
Yeah. So go there and you'll learn more cool stuff.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit howstuffworks.com and let us know what you think. Email travelpodcast@howstuffworks.com. Don't forget to check out our other podcasts, free on iTunes.